My dear viewers, beginning today is the official Alliteration Gaming Patreon and channel members. Throughout my Patreon, we've got quite a few tiers you can check out in order to gain special perks and even commission videos that you'd like to see me upload onto the channel. Every tier includes a shout out on my supporter card at the beginning of all of my videos, along with the benefits of the tier itself. Following that, you can now also join the Alliteration Nation by becoming a channel member on the YouTube side of things. Pledging your subscription here as a member of the channel is going to grant you the same shout out on my supporter card as all the Patreon tiers do, as well as access to the members only channel on my Discord. You'll gain a member badge that will level up as you stay subscribed and access to my exclusive emotes when I stream on YouTube. If you're interested in checking out the Patreon, I'm going to have the link in the description and in the pinned comment down below, as well as the link to my Discord should you want to join that as well. And if you want to become a channel member, the big, beautiful join button is front and center on my homepage right here. And if you do decide to support the channel in any way whatsoever, know that I am unimaginably grateful, and I can't wait to provide you with even more top-notch content at my trademark top speed. Additionally, it's time for the return of the referral code. If you're new here and you're just getting into the game, you've got to make an account on the Universus Gaming Network. When you're signing up, you can use my exclusive referral code Alliteration to let Jasco know that I brought you on board, which directly supports me and my work. Having an account on the UGN site is going to allow you to sign up for tournaments, participate in events, locate stores that support the game near you, and much, much more. Playing in events and or mailing in pack wrappers is actually going to accrue loyalty points onto your account, which you'll then be able to redeem for exclusive promo cards in the mail for absolutely free. An account on here is an integral part of playing this game, so make sure you sign up and you use my code Alliteration to help me continue doing what I love. I would really appreciate the support. You guys absolutely killed it on the last one with all of the signups, and I am really excited to run it back with you all. Now, let's get on to the video. Good evening, my dear viewers. Welcome to another Alliteration Gaming video. My name's Levi, and today we're actually going to be ranking what are, in my opinion, the top 10 best cards in the entirety of Set 4, the League of Villains. So if you don't remember, we did this back in Set 3, and I thought that it was a ton of fun and just a really cool video idea in general, so I wanted to continue to pave that forward towards Set 4. The set's barely been out yet, and honestly, I know many others out there have not gotten nearly enough games with all of these new cards to fully judge the quality of the set. So this is going to be much more of a like, hey, we're going to put this out there. These are my initial thoughts off of reading these cards, and then see how this looks in a matter of months. And I'm sure there are some that I'm very on the money about because they're quite obvious. There are some that may be more sleepers, and some that may be a little bit overhyped. But no matter what they are, we're going to get to the bottom of them in some way, shape, or form. As far as criteria for the list goes, there's no characters on here. This is going to be purely non-character cards. And as far as how we're judging them, we're going to be judging them just kind of based on a few different factors. We're going to be based on their power level, their versatility, their accessibility to certain decks. Something that is really restrictive to one deck, even if it's really broken, might not make it to the super high charts of the list. Basically, the top cards in this list are going to be really strong and also very usable by lots of people in the game. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. The number 10 slot is actually going to go to Muscle Rush. Muscle Rush is just really solid. On block, draw a card, and it's got the Electric Jolt ability. This card is just really good. It's a low attack as well. It's got a really reasonable zone and modifier on it. There's just nothing to really hate about Muscle Rush. If your deck really benefits off guaranteed momentum, like a lot of fire decks do, you're going to love this card. If you just like to poke really efficiently, your Earth and Life decks are going to love this card. Muscle Rush is just one that I foresee making its way into a lot of people's decks. Next up, coming in at number 9 is Decoy Duplicate. This card is just flat out very powerful, and there are a lot of decks that are just going to lose to this card. Being able to just take anything that you've put resources into as an attack and just get it out of the way for a very negligible cost. Losing a foundation is not a big cost. Discarding momentum can be, but this card does have the air and chaos symbols on it, who are just the masters at piling tons of free momentum, so that part really is not a cost. The forecheck does come in and make you think about it a little bit bit deck construction wise, but ultimately, as long as you're not really racking up the 4 checks, which these symbols aren't for the most part, this is just going to be such powerful tech. I think that most of the decks on these symbols are going to play and or side some amount of copies of this card. I think this pretty much replaces Cheerleader for the most part in a lot of the air decks. It's just fantastic tech, and a lot of decks can take full advantage of this, being just such an efficient way to stop the rival dead in their tracks. Next up in the number 8 slot is Valiant Assault. While this is a quirk pack card, I'm still counting it as technically inside of the set. Valiant Assault is very, very good. Were this list based solely on its own power level, Valiant Assault would honestly be much higher, but this is only going to go in the punch decks. However, being said, combo E, draw 2, and manipulate your check if it hits, this card is going to go into every single punch deck. Granted, you're on one of these 3 symbols. Valiant Assault is just absolutely crazy. It's even got an off-zone block. This is just so good, man. No one needs to tell you why Pot of Greed is good. The fact that punch decks have access to this card bring them up like a whole tier, in my opinion, going into set 4. Next, let's take a look at number 7, and it's going to be Sense of Justice. I think this card is very, very good. A 2 difficulty foundation that can be on-demand speed or damage reduction is very, very nice. The good symbol has got a solid amount of blocking power in it already, but Order and Void really desires something like this. It's also going to play really well with things like Spooky. I mean, flat out, most decks these days are playing packages. You've got the kick decks, the range decks, the charge decks, the punch decks. Most people playing, like, there's not a lot of good stuff flying around anymore. Most of the time, you're going to be playing off of one, 2 keywords max within your deck, because there's just something really strong to take advantage of on almost every single keyword and the way they play on certain symbols. So this card is almost never dead. It's got a great off-zone block as well. Sense of Justice is just really fantastic, and it's something that I think the Void and Order symbols have really been wanting. Coming in at number 6, we're going to take a look at Winged Nomu. Winged Nomu is, in my opinion, the best echo attack in the entire set. It sure is a big 5 diff as opposed to some of the 4 diff echoes in the set, but the fact that at the cost of destroying a foundation, it is a 4 high for 5 that can never be partially blocked. It's got an off-zone block as well. If you are a character that can put damage on this card is freaking cranked. You really tax the rival with that. You can't partially block it. The second they see this card checked in something like Nomu or Dobby or All Might 2, so many decks that can take advantage of this and make it really big, they're gonna have to just start holding high blocks non-stop, and I think that just has a really powerful global effect on how you play the game. It's just a very good card, and I've already seen a lot of decks taking some insane advantage of this thing. Alright guys, we're at the halfway point, and coming in at number 5 at that point is Dual Needle Lunge, one of Toga's ultra rare, specifically Toga 2's ultra rare. This card's just very good. If you liked Crow and Frog Takedown, you're gonna like this card, man. It essentially does not count towards progressive, but it's also gonna be a free momentum snag. It's pretty well statted. It's got EX to make up for being a bit slow. It's got not a very nice low block, but it is a low block. This card is just very generic. Obviously, the momentum ability, I can take it or leave it. I don't think it's an extremely impactful one, but there are going to be certain situations where you can really mess with the rival when they try to do things like stacking Final Smash cards, their Giro stacks. You're going to be able to mess with the rival a little bit, but overall, just being able to float into the momentum at a cost of 3 health is very good. Now, we just kind of mentioned it, but speaking of Final Smash, it's coming in at the number 4 slot. Guys, Final Smash is crazy. The fact that this is the one of in the All Might starter deck is criminal, because everyone's gonna need a ton of copies of this card. Essentially, this card, more than most of the time, is a 4 difficulty, 5 high for 6. You could stop right there. That's just great. But you also get to stack the top card of your deck. This can either be stacking a fantastic check. This can stack a draw if you've got any kind of draw cards, which the Order, All, and Good symbol have tons and tons of draw power. It's got a great block zone. This card is just so fantastic. It's got very relevant keywords. Fury and Punch decks are obviously going to love this, especially the Punch decks, man. They're going to adore this card. But truthfully, you can play this in literally anything, because it doesn't ask you to have any specific keywords to just be a very efficient and very amazingly powerful card. All right, now we're squeaking into the top 3, and the 3rd place slot is going to go to Convenient Timing. Guys, I think this card is very slept on right now. I think this card has some really really powerful applications going into our metagame. If you are a character that can steal momentum, or if you get to go first against those aggro decks and secure that one momentum, this card effectively says that you're gonna make it through their turn 2. This card is so good, man. Breaker 1 for the rest of the turn at the cost of momentum. It's a very respectable +2 mid, meaning there's no way they can swing and avoid the zone of this blocking it. It's so good. The onboard effect is pretty poor. It's gonna have some cool applications here and there, like stopping heat waves from being able to draw 2 cards, stopping erases and meteor showers from coming back into play. There's gonna be cool applications here and there, but for the most part, this card is just a one-stop shop to effectively end any string aggro's turn whatsoever. Twisting Azure Inferno is good for a reason, right? This is the defensive version of it, and that is more than enough to squeak it all the way up into this top cut slot. Coming in at our number 2 slot, we have the best attack in the entire set. That's the almighty Vile Seizing. This card is just so plain good. Effectively, that top Hance reads, if you check well, I get to just stun 2. If you check poorly, I'm now at 3 high for 6 that drew a card, replaced itself. It is an off zone +1 high block with Breaker 1, and it's got a deadlock that almost just flat out wins you the game. This card is cracked. And it's got one of the most relevant keywords ever, the Fury keyword, man. Holy cow. Fury decks will love this. Generic decks will love this. You can shove copies of Vile Seizing into literally any deck, and it's going to see some really profitable returns. And for that, it's going to make it all the way into the number 2 slot. This, I think, is the card that you're going to be scouring for in these first few weeks of set 4, and especially at your pre-releases. And now, finally, coming in all the way at the number 1 slot, beating out the likes of Vile Seizing, of Final Smash, of Dual Needle Lunge, we're going to be looking at the best card in the entirety of set 4, the League of Villains, and that is Showdown. You guys all knew this was coming. Showdown is an absolutely insane card. Another one of these instances where bringing a standard card almost exactly into My Hero Academia format has proven very powerful. Showdown is what a lot of the players have been begging for to enter our format, to stop these crazy turn 2 decks, to slow down these crazy turn 3 decks. Showdown is just so good. It's so good. On block selectively stun 2 effectively ends almost any turn in the early stages of the game. Being able to also cancel actions as a cherry on top is just so strong, and it's an off zone block while we're doing it. I think Showdown is going to be such a relevant and impactful part of our metagame going into set 4. I have seen tons of players just trying to craft out these all low attack decks just because they are so sick and tired of getting Showdown and Showdown and Showdown. The first time you Showdown someone, or the first time you get Showdown, is when you really appreciate the true power and the true impact of this card. And I think it's mainly the fact that not only has the My Hero format seen any card quite like Showdown yet, it's also on 3 of the most downtrodden symbols right now. Death is not in a bad spot per se, but Evil and Order are definitely suffering more than any of the other symbols. So the fact that we got such a powerful card like this on symbols that are also down in their dumps, it's finally not a rich get richer scenario like with something like Faith Shield. Showdown is an absolute blessing to the My Hero Academia format, and I think that the power and impact that it carries in every single deck it's in, because I think it's going to go into every single deck on these symbols, is a true testament to why it makes it all the way to the number 1 slot here. And there you have it, guys. That is my personal top 10 list for My Hero Academia card game set 4, the League of Villains. I think these are, in that order, the best 10 cards in the set, but if you have any differing opinions, I would love to hear them down in the comment section below. There were a lot of ones on the chopping block when I first drafted the first, like, just going out and picking what I thought were the best cards. I think I had like 27 or 28 on the list. It was a really big number, and it was very hard to narrow it down. And I'm sure that you can comment some honorable mentions down below that I probably shed a bit of a tear when I was taking them off the list, narrowing it all the way down to this top 10. And of course, if you liked the video overall, you can leave me a like while you're down there, and hit the subscribe button if you want some more MHA CCG content. And as always, to support me even further, you can hit the join button down there and become a channel member. You can join the Alliteration Nation and get a really cool badge next to your name and some emotes to use when I stream on YouTube. And if you want to have some personal impact on the type of content I make, you can check out my Patreon, which is going to have a bunch of different tiers where you can commission certain types of videos from me, have some interactive experiences with me, and overall just have some impact on my content. If any of that sounds cool, I'm going to have the links as always to everything in the pinned comments and in the description below, and I would really appreciate if you checked out any of it. But above all else, I just appreciate you making it all the way to the end of this video. Thank you so much. That's all the time I've got for today, but I hope I can see you tomorrow in the next one.